Welcome to Cutting Down the Nets. It is round one Saturday games. We're going to go through the second set of 16 games. Hopefully you enjoyed the Friday show as we went game by game with specific reasons that I am playing specific teams and at which spread points do I like situations a little better. More of the same today. We'll go through 16 games, but I want to start with a note on our Friday slate. When I created this slide, it was just a generic, watch out, Texas Tech has COVID, the line is moving. That means it's probably someone important. We have confirmation that it is Moses Wright. Son of a gun, that's awful. It's frustrating. That is a player they cannot afford to lose. So the line has jumped to Loyola -5, but let's talk about this. In my opinion, I find it highly unlikely that we, as bettors, will underreact to this situation, if you know what I mean. We have the ACC Player of the Year. We have Sister Jean and Loyola. We have COVID, not a sprained ankle. So that just creates more buzz and like blah, 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 blah. Oh, without their best player. So I do not see an underreaction here. I'm anticipating an overreaction. How much of an overreaction will I need to make a play on Georgia Tech? That I don't know yet. I'll have to think about that over the next 24 hours or so. Your options are sit the game out. That's obviously an easy one. Jump on Loyola probably 3 hours ago. It's probably too late, and that number is going to get worse if you like that. I do think that people bet teams and not numbers. So they show up in Las Vegas or they log into their book maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow, maybe not till tip. And like, oh, I got to get my Loyola bet in. Not Loyola at -2 or -2.5. Like, I got to get the Loyola bet in. That Loyola number might just keep going up and people just don't care because they got to get the Loyola bet in. So it's something to watch. I'm hoping for like 7, which is probably lofty. Maybe 7.5 or 8, which is just getting greedy. But at that point, I am in on Georgia Tech, and here's why. Player impacts to the spread. General rule of thumb is like 0 to 5 points. I think Zion, books adjusted Zion lines about 5 points. My data showed that he was worth like a point in adjusted efficiency, but I don't know. He only missed 6 games, so the team didn't slip that much without him. This year, we saw Jalen Johnson leave Duke. They got better. I bet on a couple Pitt games after they lost 2 starters abruptly. Their team played about the same, but I was dealing with numbers that were like probably 7 points too high on the point spread. We had a situation where Scottie Pippen Jr. missed some time with Vanderbilt. It was really affecting their numbers. And they were down 2 starters. Still were covering just fine. Another player, James Bouknight, missed a significant amount of time for UConn. He missed enough time that I have 2 profiles for him. Found out he's worth probably about 4 points. So this is awful. This is an elite player. Again, ACC Player of the Year. Probably worth 4 points. But I have a feeling we will not see an underreaction to that. And I will probably ride with Georgia Tech at a really good number. But I am going to sit back and watch and not do anything stupid for 24 hours. All right, let's get into Saturday's game. That was kind of a somber opening when we're talking about one of our favorite players not playing in the tournament. So let's see if Coach Driscoll can get us ready for the Saturday games. Thank you, Coach. We really appreciate it. Game number 1, Colorado, Georgetown. I'm not going to go into detail on the graphs. If you watch the Friday show, it's going to be the same style, more of the same. So this one will probably move a little quicker than the previous show. So game number 1, Colorado and Georgetown. I'm seeing Georgetown not only with a pretty darn good chance of winning this game, but it looks like a great cover opportunity. Some may say, well, yeah, because they played hot last week. And I would say, not so fast, my friend. Let's look at Georgetown's season. Did Georgetown have a good week down here in the Big East tournament? Yes, they did. But key date, January 9th, they went on a 3-week COVID pause. They come out of it, offensively playing some of their best basketball. They had a rough night against Creighton. And then defensively, they started to find their feet. And we now have a half a season of a team looking real strong. So this is not a hot week for me. This is more of this team's been good for half of their season and is not the same team as early December. And I think if you're looking at any early January or December data for the Georgetown Hoyas, you're doing it wrong. So with a line of 5, 5.5, I like the chances of covering here. But let's talk about range of outcomes. 66% chance of covering. Yeah, that's good expected value. But you still lose 35 out of 100. So it's important to remember these range of outcomes. Just remember, the best sports bettors in the world go 9-7 over 16 game stretches. That's elite. So are we going to go 100%? No. But I think overall we are making plus EV bets and we are going to be profitable. And I like this with a 66-ish % chance of covering. Not much value in the total. Let's dig into the profiles. Looking at my different data points, I see this being a close game. The minus indicates a Colorado victory or projection. So only a couple data points actually like Colorado winning this game. A few have Georgetown by 3, 4. Overall, my median projection was close to a 2-point Georgetown victory. So we have our first Saturday bet. Let's go! Thanks, Coach Driscoll. Here comes Florida State and UNC Greensboro. I don't see much risk of Florida State losing this game. UNC Greensboro has a high usage Isaiah Miller. He likes to get to the rim, and if he doesn't get to the rim, he's going to shoot it anyway. So they probably could have drawn someone better, someone slower, like imagine Jordan Bohannon or Connor McCaffrey guarding that guy. I think it's a lot different story than the super athletic Florida State Seminoles. So overall, at current prices, I don't see a lot of value, but I'm in the lean Florida State category for this game, and I would be fine with the over. An area of concern for the Seminoles that's probably keeping me away at the moment is both these teams will press a fair bit, and Florida State has gotten sloppy at times, but they can win a lot of different ways. They don't rely on one player. They're deep. Again, super athletic. They do a lot of things well, and they are just no fun to play. So overall, I see this being close to the number, but I'm leaning Florida State. I would love a single digit. Probably not going to happen, but I'm leaning Florida State anyway. Game number 3, we have Kansas and Eastern Washington. Kansas, it is confirmed, will be without Jalen Wilson, but David McCormick, their athletic big, is back. So you had Kansas without a player or two in the Big 12 tournament. You had Kansas now without another player. That's something to watch as this game gets closer. They could end up with another positive test pop up or something like that, which is no bueno for the tournament. But current price is 10.5. Eastern Washington is a pretty good offensive team, but they are not strong defensively. So that's kind of their weakness. But we can't all be beautiful basketball teams. They give Kansas a 67% chance of winning, Eastern Washington 33% chance of winning, and I am seeing value on Eastern Washington in this situation. Total looks about right to me. Let's dig into our data points. All are in agreement that 10.5 is too high. And I think anytime you're making a bet against Kansas, Duke, Kentucky, those blue bloods, the money just always comes in on the name, and I think you can get a better number closer to tip. The one exception was the year that I think it was Northeastern just caught a lot of buzz against Kansas as the underdog special, and that line plummeted, and then Kansas won by 30. So it's in the range of outcomes. But I like Eastern Washington in this spot. What say you, Coach Driscoll?
Let's go!
Before you think I'm strictly an underdog bettor, just know that I have 5 leans that are favorites. I'm just not getting the numbers I want, but I'm just waiting in the wings on those. But these prices on underdogs are fantastic. LSU St. Bonaventure. All right, we'll cut to the chase. I'm betting St. Bonaventure. Number one, put some respect on the A10's name. How many years in a row has the A10 been disrespected? So we're coming again. Fine with that. LSU, brand name. They have that sex appeal. They can score. They've got Cam Thomas. They've got Javonte Smart. They've got Watford. They got Days. These guys can get buckets. But they have very little interest in defending, and they certainly don't want to defend for long stretches of time. Enter St. Bonaventure. They're going to slow the game down. They methodically work through their offense. They're going to make you guard for 40 minutes. LSU is not interested in that. They want the ball and they want to go shoot. So this is not a fun game for LSU, and I am seeing a tremendous amount of value on the Bonnies. Current price is in that 1.5 to 2 range. Again, this looks like a quality bet for me. I actually have St. Bonaventure with a 60% chance of winning. Total seems to be right on. LSU plays fast, Bonnie plays slow. All the data adjusted accounts for that. Profile-wise, I'm using a 1.2 points per possession for LSU, but their defense is near a point per possession. St. Bonaventure, while not cool or sexy because they play slow, is at 1.15 points per possession, and then an elite defense. Maybe not elite. How about very good? We'll go with. So all data points are pointing towards a 2 to 7 point victory for St. Bonaventure. Again, range of outcomes. 60% chance of covering means 4 times out of 10 it doesn't. It's frustrating when it doesn't happen. Again, 9 and 7 is like best in the world. We are hoping for better than that, but I just want to make sure we have realistic expectations. Once you start setting your own point spreads and projecting the game, it feels like a sure thing. Like, okay, they're going to win by 4. But you saw those distribution plots. They could lose by 35 points. It's in the range of outcomes. Not a likely outcome, but it is in the range. But I am locked and loaded on the Bonnies from the A10.
Let's go!
It just gets me excited. Hey, here's a little preview for what to expect for the Sunday, Monday round 2 games. We don't have a line. We do have potential, opponents, but I'll give you my point spreads depending on who they're going to play. Something to note with Michigan. They will be without Isaiah Livers. He is arguably their best player. You could probably make a case for Dickinson or Wagner as well. But it was only one game, but that looked like a different team. You've got these role players, which are really good at being role players, like your Mike Smith, your Eli Brooks, Theo Johns, like good role players. Without Livers, they're asked to do a lot more. So interesting, and I have not accounted for that yet. I just haven't handicapped this game yet. This is a preview. So they'll face the winner of Mount St. Mary's and Texas Southern. If they play Mount St. Mary's, I'm seeing a spread of around 21-ish, and Texas Southern 25 to 28, 30. So here's your first lesson. Does that mean I think Texas Southern is 7 points better than Mount St. Mary's? The answer is no, because you probably saw that that game is currently like a 2 or 3 point spread, and it'd be like, wow, so there's value in that game. Here's why there's such a difference here. Texas Southern plays at a 73.6 possessions per game pace. Michigan is fairly average. They're slightly below average. So if those two teams meet, I would expect the pace of the game to be around 72. The Mount is the second slowest team, only to Virginia. So you take a team like that against a Michigan team that plays slightly below average, and now you've got a very slow game. So overall, the difference in efficiency is roughly the same of about, what would that be? 1.8, 1.6, so 3.4 points per, 0.34 points per possession and 0.37, something like that. It's close. But what happens is it's a volume game. So if you're going to get 10 more possessions, that difference is extrapolated out over more possessions. So that's kind of how that works out. So I think Mount St. Mary's and Texas Southern are actually pretty even matchup personally. So it's a 1 versus 16. I would shade these down for a no Isaiah Livers. We'll see what line comes out, but I can't see a scenario where I'm excited to play that game either way. Next game, Creighton versus the Gauchos of Santa Barbara. Injury notes here. Santa Barbara is likely to be without Sani, I believe is how you pronounce his name. It's a guard. He's a shooter for Santa Barbara. I watched that injury in real time. Looked like he broke his leg. He came down on a foot and his ankle was like they had to carry him off the court. He couldn't put any weight on it. Now word from the team is he might play, which I find highly suspect, but we'll see what happens. Is that a Moses Wright situation? The answer is no. So might be worth, I don't know, half point, something like that. So Creighton is currently favored by 7.5. Let's dig into this matchup. You give Creighton a 60% chance of winning. The Gauchos a 40% chance. A little bit of value in the over, and we're seeing a lot of yellow and green for the Gauchos. Let's look at why. I have this as a 1 to 2 possession game. Here are some things to note. Creighton's streaky. They have a very good point guard, Marcus Zagorowski. Love that kid. Super, super good. The Gauchos are not the best of matchups for Creighton. One, they play a little slower, so this won't be like a Creighton up and down, a lot of threes, which some of those Big East games can get into that type of environment. And Creighton is an awful free throw shooting team. I don't want to weight that too much, and my data is what it is. I'm just talking through the paths here of Creighton not getting the job done. So all data points are in agreement here that I will be on Santa Barbara. But I am looking for official comment from Coach Driscoll.
Let's go!
All right. We move on to Alabama and Iona. Alabama. Man, this team's good. So they're going to shoot nearly half their shots from three. If they are making those shots, you are not going to beat Alabama. That would be an example of the Mississippi State game in the SEC tourney. However, if Bama is not hitting their jump shots, not hitting their threes, then you're still going to lose, but it will be a lot closer. So let's look at how this matches up with Iona. I did something that I think should be required for any time you're betting on a bad team. I bet on Iona in their conference tournament against Niagara, and I watched it. I think you should be required to watch a bad team that you've bet on because it changed my opinion real fast. That team looked just inefficient. They made bad decisions, long stretches without scoring. Even when they got the ball in favorable positions down low, they were still looking to make one more pass into traffic. It was just ugly. And Niagara was not good. So take that for what it's worth. The data here likes Iona. So am I going to bet Rick Pitino against this juggernaut, high variance Alabama team? Ugh. Data says more like a 15-point game. So it's close. Coach Driscoll, do you have an opinion? Oh, Coach Driscoll is not available for comment. We have...
That's a fifth floor problem.
Not in my house.
No. We're not betting against Alabama. Look, it doesn't mean I'm betting on Alabama. I will sit that game out. So do what you want. The data said go for it. I know what it's going to feel like watching that game, and I'm not going to enjoy it if I'm holding the Iona ticket. So I will pass, and maybe we'll find a live betting opportunity. Here's a look-ahead game. The winner of Drake-Wichita State will face the USC Trojans. Drake is getting back. It's either their leading scorer or second leading scorer, Tank Hemphill. And I am not accounting for that in this data. Reason being, I don't know if they've beat Wichita State yet, and I'm not interested in handicapping a game that may not take place when I could just handicap the real game on Saturday night, Sunday morning, Friday night, whenever that may be. So I do have a Drake plus 1.5, I think was the best number I got because I was a little slow to the trigger when that opened, but it is now Drake minus 1.5. So we will either have some Skolansky bucks or a winning bet there. And the reason for the line movement was it was confirmed that Hemphill was in, but I was expecting that all along. So just a little too slow on the trigger there, but overall, I think I'm in a good position with that bet. And hopefully we'll see Drake. If we do, I'm not expecting a number from myself to be 6. I would put that closer to 3 would be my guess. So likely a Drake bet for me. Something to consider, and we'll talk more about this on the Sunday, Monday round 2 shows. When you have a profile or a power ranking system, whatever you use, the best way I've had it explained to me is it should be like a golf handicap. And a golfer might go out and then shoot 8 over par as a 3 handicap. That does not mean his new handicap is 8 over par. It might mean he's now a 3.2 handicap or something like that. Power ratings should behave the same way. So there will be games that take place this weekend where we have blowouts or dominant performances, and I will shade that way and give credit where it's due, but not overreact. And same as if a team struggles, I'm not going to automatically write them off and say that team's done. Unless it's a team where I'm waiting for some more information, like maybe a Michigan team without Isaiah Livers. If they lay an egg and beat a 16 seed by 5 points, I will officially be out on Michigan. All right, next game. You may or may not know I am an Iowa Hawkeye homer, but the good news for you is I am a rational Iowa Hawkeye homer. So as I was awaiting this pairing, I was hoping for... I don't even know what I was hoping for. Here's what I didn't want. I didn't want to match up with athletic guards that denied the ball in the wings and just caused a lot of ball pressure. That's what I didn't want. We don't turn the ball over that much, but that's not our rhythm nor our strength, and not good. I also was hoping for a team with crappy big man, which is pretty common when you're looking at the pool of 15s. And who does Iowa draw? The one team with not one quality big man, but 2 quality big men. So super frustrating draw. I still think it's better than uber athletic guards to play against, but not ideal for possible situations for the 15 seeds. When you look at the other 15 seeds out there, there was some nice matchups there. This is not one of them. So Grand Canyon is the house that Marley built, and they're currently led by Bryce Drew. Yes, that Bryce Drew. Overall, I see this as a game that luckily I'm not planning on betting because I really don't want to. Don't bet on your favorite teams or against your favorite teams. You're already invested in the game. Just enjoy the game or not enjoy the game, but don't add financials to it as well. I have a slight over, but for totals, I'm leaning more towards season-long pace, and Iowa's pace is pretty unpredictable at this point. So what I mean by that is I am using a tempo of 70. They have played far slower than that recently. The reason they're playing slower, or at least it seems like a correlation, is it has improved their defense tremendously. So I don't know if part of that was transition D or just not being able to get set properly. And for whatever reason, we have slowed down and we have gotten significantly better defensively. I'm using a .89 for Iowa's adjusted defensive efficiency. Never dreamed that in a million years. I mean, historically, we're like .98 at this time of year, maybe worse. Been worse many times. So overall, I don't know. I just don't see much value in this game. Let's see if the line moves into a spot that's bettable, but I'm sure I'll find some sort of bet for Iowa, whether it's halftime bet, first half bet, money, I don't know, something, right? Gotta. Okay, UConn, Maryland. This is a game. When it was announced via the bracket reveal, I was like, ooh, nice. I'll take UConn. Ooh, they run into Alabama next. And mentally, that's just where you go. Like, ooh, can they get by Texas if they beat Alabama? Let's talk about Maryland. This is not a great spot. So the more I dug into this game, the more I was like, this is not a gimme for UConn. And I like UConn. And I've got a real strong profile for UConn. But this line is not going to go down. It's only going to get worse. So if you got in at 1.5 for UConn, let's look at that. That's all right. Smidge of value there, in my opinion. But I bet this tips at like 4.5. People like to bet UConn. People don't like Maryland. So the situation is Maryland's going to put their best defender. That'd be, what's his name? Daryl Morsell. He'll be on book night. Not going to shut him down or anything, but it's going to slow them down a little bit. RJ Cole, who is UConn's probably second best offensive player, he really stepped up when book night was out. He's questionable. I think he's going to play, but boy, if he didn't, they've got serious problems there. So Maryland's weird. Like, it seems like all the guys are the same size. They probably shoot too many jump shots, but they can also make them. Pretty much what you saw in the Big Ten tournament is Maryland. It's a well-coached team. They are aggressive. They're good defensively. They don't really have go-to people. Ayala, their point guard, he's a good floor general. He's in charge, not really take over a game type player. Wiggins, super athletic wing. They don't really have a true post. So keep Whaley away from the basket. I don't know. I see pass here. So at current prices, I'm leaning Maryland, but I don't think current prices are going to be what I'm dealing with in Las Vegas and that will now be 3 days from now. So I just think that line's going to keep going up. And if it does, I do have UConn winning, but by a slim margin. So if I could get a 4, I would be in on Maryland, and obviously I'll take anything above that. So that's what I'm anticipating, and that's where I go. Okay, time for my, hey everybody, this is the game of the week. This is the, I can't even do it. I just loathe people like that. Okay, I like Ohio here. Let's be reasonable. This is one of my favorite bets, and I just want to point out how many outcomes exist of Ohio losing that game, or not covering that game. let's get into why I like this game. Number one, you're going to hear the story of Jay Preston. It's a cool story. You're going to get tired of it by the end of it, especially if they win this game. So his story is he grew up without a dad, and then in high school his mom died. He didn't get a basketball scholarship because he just like enrolled as a student and then like just played basketball and then joined like an AAU team. People thought he was pretty good. So he ended up making like this mixtape, yada, yada, yada. He goes from Central Florida, some school out east, ends up at Ohio, and is like a legit, really, really good player. So kind of a neat story. It's kind of fun. Something to note, they lost to Illinois by like 2 points early in the year, but you know what I'm talking about there. And I think Preston dropped 35 in that game, something like that. So I don't know. This team's good. They had a little midseason swoon, but they had some injuries / COVID. Preston missed some time. Wilson missed some time. And if you've ever grinded college basketball for a season, trying to figure out if two guys from Ohio are playing on like a random Wednesday at 6 o'clock in a MAC game, good luck. A lot of tweeting at college students, college reporters, trying to figure out who's playing in the game. So frustrating. So here we go. Current price 7.5 to 7 in some spots. I don't know a number that this could get down to where I'm like, yeah, I'm out on that. So I kind of set my curb at anything 5.5 or better, and I consider this a very good play for me. But let's talk about what this means from a scalability standpoint. How I used to do things is I would have like a standard bet, and then if I really liked a game, I may bet 4 units on that game, and I think you see that a lot. That might work for you. Here's why I would not do that. All the bets we've been talking about making, all the ones Matthew Driscoll is yelling about, let's go, are like 54 to 60% bets. Good plus EV bets. So now you have a 65%. Is it 4 times as likely as occurring? So why would you, bet 4 times your bet amount? So should you bet more on a game you like more? Yes, but I think we are inherently bad at scaling, in my opinion. So also give Ohio a 46% chance of winning this game. So, I mean, it's not the best money line in the world, but 3-1 money on a team that I have getting close to a coin flip, I'm in. So let's look at the data here. All data points have Ohio. So here's the kicker as to why this is my favorite game. If both these teams showed up in Indy, had everyone at full strength, full prep, this is how I see the game. Great game. On top of everything you've seen, Virginia's dealing with COVID issues. They could be without a player or 2 or 3. No one will really know till this game tips. And they've had to stay at home and not even travel until Friday. So they're not in Indianapolis yet. They won't get to practice. They won't even really see the gym they're playing in until like shoot around. So this is a good bet in a vacuum. You add that stuff on top of it, and I am super interested. So my only hope is that we don't just have this number just driven into the ground by the time I land in Las Vegas. So that's my hopes and dreams. So this one is one I am very interested in. Let's go! All right, another COVID update. Oklahoma will be without their second leading scorer, Davion Harmon. I already have Missouri as a play in this game, as evidenced by these graphs. So this is the amount of times I have Missouri covering. But let's talk through this matchup. I give the edge offensively to Oklahoma and their perimeter shooting. That goes down a little bit without Harmon. Missouri, I give the edge to defensively and definitely in the post when you have their athletic bigs against a guy like Brady Manick, who can show up for some games. I mean, he'll play well from time to time and certainly has had his, um, stout competition in the Big 12 with Jericho Sims and guys like that. So David McCormick. But I see a pretty sizable advantage on the inside for Missouri. And overall, the data just likes this play. So should be a close game. Let's dig into where I have it. All data points are within like a point. So all of them but one, I think, have Missouri favored. This is not accounting for any of the Davion Harmon news. Now, is Harmon a Moses Wright type absence? Absolutely not. So, do you shade that? Is he worth a point? Probably. So, let's just call it even, meaning we liked Missouri at +2. Harmon's out. Spread moves 1 point, but he's worth a point. We have a net neutral move, in my opinion. Now, if this catches some steam and people follow this and we end up with Missouri favored, it's something I'll have to reevaluate at that time. But if we can just hold as a Missouri underdog, I am in on getting some points in this matchup. Let's go! All right, another look-ahead game. We have our favored team to win it all, Gonzaga. Why are they favored to win it all? Well, with a 1.23 points per possession on offense and 0.89 allowed, you're going to blow out a lot of teams. So I see either of these teams being close to 30. So I'm likely not betting this game. I mean, imagine like what has to pop up in like those beautiful colors on the sportsbook board, like 37 for you to be interested in a dog. And are you interested in a dog against Gonzaga? No. Now, if I saw like a 22 Gonzaga as a favorite, yeah, I'd bet that. But here's how I've approached Gonzaga games for the last 8 weeks. I bet their first half, and buckle up, this is going to be like 18 points in a situation like this. But bet their first half, and if they are struggling, not like, hey, it was close at half, they didn't cover, so let's get in on the second half. More like they're struggling, like something's wrong. They came out flat. Then I'm in on the second half. So that's how I will likely approach that game. And yeah, it's likely Appalachian State, but I could see paths for Norfolk. Appalachian State's a better team, but I don't know. That line's like 3, and I don't love it either way. Next look-ahead game. BYU versus the winner of Colorado State and Louisville, in my mind. But no, we're going to put these guys in. They're good teams. It's just frustrating. Michigan State's gross. Aaron Henry's a great player, and then, man, just gross. I mean, Izzo's trying. It's either like go with a defensive lineup that can't ever score, or you add some offense to the rotation, and then you just get buried on the other end. So outside Aaron Henry, that team's just not very good, but they don't do themselves any favors, too. A lot of long twos and jump shots, which, I don't know, it's one way to live. I am not interested in that. UCLA at least has had to deal with some injuries. Overall, when I matched those teams up, I think it was like within a half point. So UCLA is getting points in the play-in game. So I see a little value there just in terms of getting points in a game I see close, but nothing crazy here. So what I'm expecting is I almost hope Michigan State wins because then we'll probably get a BYU like -4, and I'd be interested in BYU at that price. I think people are going to overvalue whatever team wins this game, and hopefully they win decisively to get a little buzz going, would be my hope. All right, Texas versus Abilene Christian. Anytime I see the words or say the words Abilene Christian, I think back to the Joe Namath interview with Subi Susie Colbert, where he's hammered and says, "I believe," and it just sounds like Abilene. So that's my Drunk Joe Namath voice, and it's just, I don't know, it's one of my favorite memories. All right, Texas -9, back to business. Abilene Christian was someone that I think a lot of people were interested in playing, and then they drew Texas. Ugh. Texas is a tough matchup for anyone. They have super freaks at the post with Greg Brown, Jericho Sims. I mean, just like 7-foot guys that run, can pull you outside, like just really, really good. They have great guards too. Those guards are athletic enough to deal with the pressure of Abilene Christian. However, those guards have also shown the ability to turn the ball over. So if you're looking for an angle to keep Abilene in the game, we could have some sloppy play. But think about Shaka Smart preparing a team to deal with pressure. I mean, I don't know. Feels like you kind of got the goat, the pressure goat, on how to manage pressure, right? I don't know. That's just my 2 cents. So I don't see value either way. I think this should be a good game, should be close to the number. I give Texas roughly a 70% chance of winning. Is there a little value in Abilene Christian on the money line? You know, the Ohio money line was close to this, and I gave them a 44% chance of winning, so not really. Shade the over in this game as well. I'm seeing scores in the, I don't know, somewhere in the 70s, with Texas winning by roughly 9 points. We're right on the number. So not a game I am looking to exploit. Our final game on the card, I keep thinking we go out west to the west region, but all these games are in Indianapolis. Some of these teams are going to be playing pretty late at night. Oregon, VCU. All right. I get it. Oregon's good. I like Oregon. I think Oregon's a great tournament team. I think Dana Altman's a great coach. I think they have a good defense. They can pressure the ball. He'll throw in a zone. And by the way, when you hear teams zone, don't think like Syracuse zone. Syracuse zones like 98% of the time. Other teams, when they zone, it's like 25% of the time. So, yes, I think I think Oregon's good. But their data does not suggest the level of respect that they have been getting for the last month or so. And they've been dealing with some inflated lines, and those inflated lines kept me from betting on them when I wanted to. And now, in this situation, I thought it'd be more of a fair line, and I'm just not seeing it. So, chance I'm wrong, probably be wrong 4 out of 10 times, right? That would be a fantastic tournament. But in this case, I just I don't see it from a data perspective, and I don't see like this crazy mismatch that VCU can't handle. And like I said, let's put some damn respect on the A10 yet again. So this looks to me like a close game, and right now it's 5.5. We might be able to get a couple possessions here, and overall I give Virginia Commonwealth 46% chance of winning. Look at these spreads. I just see it close. And here's why. Oregon's defense, 101.6. That, I mean, should they be 95 or 0.95? They should, but for the last, I don't know, 17 games, they haven't. So I don't know why I just have to like automatically give them a good defensive number. So not seeing it. So VCU does struggle offensively, but they actually are a good defensive team. And Oregon's got playmakers. I don't know, should be a good game. I just see it closer than a lot of people do. And I'm willing to go out and trust my process. So that is our final game of the Saturday. Weird to say Saturday slate and have it be a big slate, but that's our final game of the Saturday slate. Oh, man. One more. Oh, we're almost there, guys. So thanks for tuning in. Um, this is the data I use to make decisions. I think they're plus EV bets. I hope you see value in the content and at least the analysis. Make your own decisions. Nothing is worse than holding a bet you don't like, you don't want to cheer for. Like if I give one piece of advice, cut your bet by 90%, but have it be on the team you actually want to win that game or cheer for if you disagree with some of these. We used to have a deal where we would have sponsor bets where someone would in our group, because you want to bet the same thing. You don't want a group of 5 guys and two are on one side, 3 are on the other, and you're kind of like going against each other. Not fun. So let me educate you on the sponsor system. The sponsor system is some guy throws out in your group the bet. So let's say it's Oregon VCU, and they just have conviction on the A10. They're kind of an A10 stan like me, and they say, I'm in on VCU plus 5.5. And 2 guys in the group are like, oh, God, so I'm not betting against Dana Altman. So they can sponsor the bet, and the way to sponsor the bet is have more skin than the person with VCU. So if I said I wanted VCU at $550, they would have to sponsor at an amount higher. So now, if they want the conviction, they would say, all right, I'll sponsor that, and I will take Oregon minus 5.5 for 660. So here's the deal. As the VCU stand, I can then bet that game for $5 and cheer them on. I don't have a $500 bet anymore, but we're all on the same team. And then I can ride that person like Seabiscuit if it's not working out. And on the flip side, if they weren't willing to sponsor, but just didn't love the VCU bet, hey, you got to bet with the group, but you could scale that down to, a $10 bet, whatever it may be. So that's the sponsor system. It's a great way to bet as a group, and it's kind of fun, like you're one-upping each other. Like, how much do you really like this UConn game? Because I'll go Maryland for $300. Like, oh no, I'll go UConn for $400. And I don't know. It's just kind of a way to get on the same page. And then whoever's not interested in what the group decides can just really scale down their bet. So that's my tip for having fun with a large group of people, because nothing worse than betting against each other. You want to be celebrating together and make it fun. This should be fun. This should not be stressful. So if you're betting enough that you're not having fun, then you're doing it wrong. And I found that dollar amount years ago where I was like, even if I win this, this was not enjoyable. This was too much money to have on a basketball game. So I've kind of found my niche and my sweet spot, and I hope you find yours too. So those are my closing thoughts. Thanks for stopping by, cutting down the nets. RIP Moses Wright.